Good morning, actually. It's 1:20 a.m. in the morning. The date is July 26, 2020, Monday morning. Yeah, I had watched a movie on, a documentary on Saudi Arabia, and then I watched part of this movie, not, can't say movie, this documentary on AI. And what do they have in common? AI and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. What's, how are they related? Well, I guess that the answer would have to be that you have a system that's overseeing the planet, like in the movie The Matrix. There's a force that's controlling, and I think it, like The Matrix. Now, the answer is for mankind, womankind, don't give up your humanity. Don't give up your humanity. That's the answer to everything. Don't give up your humanity. And now I want to really discuss further about those two seemingly unrelated things, Saudi Arabia and AI. Yeah, the first documentary I was watching was the thing on Saudi Arabia. Now, it was just a couple of years ago I heard about the prince there, the crown prince, and I thought he was to be the friend of the woman, someone young, educated. Well, I in this documentary, like with what's happening in Saudi Arabia. Well, that's a kingdom with it's under Islam. The women have to be covered. The women have to have a chaperone. It's like the women, just because your gender, you're like a slave. You're owned. You have no real freedom. And what else? Um, you can't even drive. You have some female activists in Saudi Arabia, and they may mention that I think it's about 13 women, and one of the women that she got behind the wheel of a car and drove it from one place to another, from one country to another, I meant to say. And she got arrested, and I think she did her time, and then they put her back. Yeah, she does her time. She, she and the other women, most likely, her family went to see her when she was still in prison and asked if she was being tortured. And then she finally told them. First she said no, and then she showed them her scars on her body. Doesn't that sound ridiculous in these modern times that a woman um, in a country in a kingdom like Saudi Arabia, I mean the lifestyle of the people there, super rich, and but it's like a rich slave. You know, they have oil that's their market, and they know that the market would be done with the oil, and so they're racing and racing to get as much money now to revamp, to redo their country that's not oil dependent. They have learned the art of seducing the Western world, bring all these people in, you know, all these so-called Westerners. And yes, they did bring in our president there, and they schmoozed him, and he gave them what they wished. He was selling them weapons. Wow. Now, why would you not give, but sell weapons to someone that can use them against you? Well, you know, first they're going to use it against their neighboring countries, which that's what's happening. Um, what else is going on? I just thought it was just like, how is that people are, you know, I ask myself why, you know, it's just, I think, close to 100 years ago when they started modernizing that country. I mean, imagine, just follow along. A kingdom that is a desert, and the people there are, you know, herdsmen. They're nomads, and for some reason, an agreement is made once they found oil there that they're not, you know, the so-called Western world is not going to oppress them like they did to black South Africans, but they allowed this particular ethnic group to do its thing, to build up from the sand up these humongous size skyscrapers, plush, allow them to build up, but not take their oil. Not. I mean, it's like when Westerners go there, they they're obedient when they're over there. They have to follow their rules. You know, the Saudi people. Um, they do a lot of industry. You know, they do a lot of trade. I mean, a lot of, you know, business relations with other nations worldwide. But yet they have this horrible relation with women there. Such abuse. And the people of the Western world are allowing this to occur. And in the process, these people from Saudi are getting stronger and stronger and stronger. So really weird that they're allowed this autonomy and strength building. And I start to ask myself, why is this? Why is this nation being treated with such respect, being that it is a was a third world nation, a people of color? Um, why? I heard something that the people who you will call Arabs in that nation, actually the people that you see there on TV, those aren't the indigenous people of that land. That's part of it, a big part of it. See, we told the indigenous, what they call Arabs of that land are a particular group, and they're classified as Caucasian in the United States. See, again, those are just labels, political terms, um, a social card term, whatever label you have, put you in a category of privileged or non-privileged. So you're being taught that they're part of a privilege labeling group, or I should say labeled group. And so why they're given this type of autonomy, even though they're people of color. They're honored, they're revered, they're feared, and such abuses against women. Women are really relegated as a slave society, ghosts. And yes, women have to be married, or you're somebody's daughter, and you have no rights of your own. And these Western worlds are catering to people like this. And I'm reminded about who else historically, you know, treat women like this. Well, it's in the Bible. The restrictions, it's a rigid law, religious laws, and it's stark treatment upon its women. All these rules upon, to place upon women. And I thought that was interesting that there seems to be a correlation. Even though in Saudi it's a different religion. It's not Christian. It's not Jewish. It's Islam. But it's so similar to old-fashioned Old Testament. And I thought it was really something. And I was told that those people that are ruling that country are not actually even Arabs, but are members of this other group, pretending to be Arab. And I start to wonder that it's a possibility, because you have to look at behaviors. Just focus on the behaviors. Who else are they really strict in religion and its attitude towards women? And the U.S. has its hands-off approach on them. There's a nation in this world that's notorious, that also grew out of the, overnight. just a couple, just a, like, what was that, 70 years or so, and a powerhouse. I think they're connections. See, you have a system. You have these Abrahamic religions, and they're really similar. They all came out of this. They have the same root, the Abrahamic religions, and you combine all those, three major religions, and you virtually have the whole planet. They're slightly different, but they're the same. And so you have to start thinking, well, who formed these Abrahamic religions? And that's um, a key answer to this whole problem. So you have different faces, different languages, but really, in essence, the same people. But they go around this planet pretending to be something that they really aren't, and controlling the planet. They could look real sophisticated. They could even go to your college, and they're not bothered. The system doesn't bother them here in the U.S. They allowed these Ivy League schools, and I mean, wow. And then they go back home to their own countries with all your knowledge and technological skills. And they're going to, I sense, they're going to use it against the Western world eventually. But see, now they're racing to, receive acceptability from the Western world. And you're lapping it up. And it was just a couple of years ago that they had this, I think it was a conference in that part of the world for this AI mannequin. You can have a conversation with it, and they want to give it citizenship. And that just popped in my mind, just brought to my memory. Because the other component of this video, I'm going to talk about AI. But see, there's connections. So you got a powerhouse, someone who came out of the dust, the sands, don't have a pot to piss in, but are lifted up out of the sand to become a powerhouse, to do things that are so criminal against women and foreign nationals. I used to live in the Caribbean, and the people from the U.S. that go to the Caribbean, you should see how they act. Real arrogant, don't follow the rules, traffic rules, and just do their own thing because they don't care. They don't respect the black people that live there. But these same type of people, when they go over the Middle East, they're all, on good behavior. You even have neighboring countries around Saudi that are producing, developing these really fancy buildings that's really catering to Westerners and their big pocketbooks. I don't know why any person from the Western world would want to go to live there amongst people that actually hate them. You cannot bring your Bible, your little personal Bible, in Saudi. You can't even visit Mecca, but yet any of those people can go into any place of worship in the U.S. and the Western world. Why you act foolish, Westerners? You are being seduced by that nation. And I just watched that film on the Crown Prince, and it was trick. They could like smile at you. I mean, he's a handsome dude, but I pick up bad energy from him. And a couple of years ago, I thought hey, wow, a new prince. Hey, women's rights. But he told you what you wanted to hear. But he rearrested those women. Now they already did their time, and then he took them, brought them back, and three men. Awful slavery. Yet I know in that country they don't like black people. Saudi Arabia was a place of black people. They have actually, look when you look at an Arab film. I mean, a true Arab. Egyptians are not Arab, but you go to a place like Saudi Arabia, who you see as security guards, that type of force, are people. They're really tall and skinny, real slim, black people of some type. I don't know where they come from, but they use those people to do, the beatings, the security work in the mall. See, it's so hot there in Saudi. People don't go out in the daytime; they go out at night. So they developing these gigunda-sized malls where the family can go and socialize. But men and women have to be separate. Really weird, really bizarre. These people are not who you believe they are. Really weird again, just remembering again that in that other country that started around 70 years ago, if you look at the people there, those modern day people in that country in the Middle East, that's about 70 plus years old, also, those people are not indigenous to that land, and who lives there also, but black people of some type. See, they always show the Ashkenazis that live there. But the true people that live there, and they have them living in these certain neighborhoods that is so toxic that if someone walked through the neighborhood, just walking through, you would get terribly sick. You don't have to even touch anything. The air. And it's modern day oppression. And they get away with it. And they're being sent US dollars to support their regime against human abuses. I mean, to what they're doing against humans. They did show our president, and I was surprised that his son-in-law was sitting amongst them in Saudi Arabia. Now they don't really allow Jewish people in that country, I thought. Well, no, you can't have a certain type of passport to enter that country. That's what you could be of that religion, but you cannot have a particular passport. Yeah, but if you come in with an American passport, yes, you can go in there. But they know who he is. I'm sure they know what his ethnicity is. And they're allowing him in the meeting. And I'm wondering what this thing is all about, to have this guy, his son-in-law, to be in a high business association with an Arab nation. It's confusing to me, right? Aren't you told that they're enemies, Jews and Arabs in that country? But look what's happening. Why is this alliance? It's like a special secret alliance, and it stinks. I get bad vibes from it. We're being lied to. We're being told so many things, but you know, they're all bedfellows. They're all bedfellows in the end. So now with the AI portion of this video, what I want to discuss. I was watching a documentary on these computers that are being developed. And they had, I mean, this young guy, he was 13 years old, and he's part of a team to develop these technologies. And he he's now 24 years old, and um, started his own company. And he developed this a golf cart that drives itself. Yeah, he was saying, this 24-year-old, that he said 90% of all car accidents are the result of people. So how do you resolve the problem? To get a computerized, self-driven vehicles that's being pushed. And you have Silicon Valley that is now want to buy his ideas. See, you have these, you have these young people who are being seduced with this Silicon Valley and are eager to compete in these development. They're starting so young. Starting so young. Brilliant. Building computers and robots to do your job. Oh, isn't that nice? Well, they're digging their own grave. These young smarty pants who want everything now, and developing these technologies that's going to dig their own grave, literally. Well, if they're driveless, well, they're going to take away the jobs of those people who drive for a living. You're producing your own demise. You need people. But see, that's where, like, The Matrix comes in, the movie. See, isn't it the AIs that take over? See, they're getting all these young people because they want to appeal to their egos because of their youth, and recruit people. Guess where they get them from? A lot of these people. Well, that kid was not from Asia. He had a Hispanic surname. But a lot of these schools in Silicon Valley, they're Caucasians and East Asians, and in general Asia, throughout Asia, but many of them were from East Asia, but other parts of Asia as well. But no Africa. Isn't that something? No Africa. Again, this is a clue, people, to this video. No Africans. Why is that? Only Caucasians and Asians have knowledge? Well, genetics is part of it. See, what you know what I I think this is all with the AI and these the takeover of our planet by these foreigners, to put it nicely, from another dimension or space, and they've infiltrated humanity. Uh, they developed what they call the European slash Westerner slash white person, and they also developed the East Asian. So the East Asian and the white European and white American, they get along very well. They have their squabbles, but they're bedfellows. But they have something in common with their skin color and their hair. But the African is a unique individual. The African and the like on the planet, whether you come from the Pacific Islands, where else? Australia, the indigenous people of Australia. See, we're the first inhabitants on this planet. And it's only those people that seem to have that certain skin color and hair type that they do deals with each other. But the African, they exclude, and they're using social engineering to oppress, to put us in prison, jail, to not get the same type of schooling, education. You have people who just arrived into the U.S. and somehow being catered to go to these Ivy League schools, to live in these beautiful homes. Yet you got someone who's here for many generations, descendants of African slaves. No, I should say Africans who have been enslaved. Yet they're not reaping the same goodness and riches as others. So it seems to be some type of allegiance, some type of agreement that is okay. We'll allow East Asia and Europe and join forces, create this AI. But use the indigenous person to be the police slash thugs, to enforce harsh cruelties upon its citizens. Just look in the U.S. Who dominates now? Why are they put in there? And so, what's that? Art reflects reality. Like the movie The Matrix. So this AI seems to be slowly establishing itself. You have someone overseeing everything and making sure that it all goes to plan. but everything is always excluding the African and the African diaspora. But once in a while, you see someone uh, in Silicon Valley, from Africa usually, Black Africa, and it could be brilliant. But overall, who do you see? Overall, who do you see in the prisons? See, it's a prison system that's putting you in jail, but everybody else, they're putting in the cozy seat. But see, they're making you feel cozy right now, Westerner and Asian. And once the system is completed its task on developing AI to replace your job, the jobs, you will become its slave. You will become its slave. You will become its slave. This is truly a prison planet. And why all this? See, again, this planet was invaded by outsiders, and the indigenous population, slowly but surely, um, treated with disrespect and persecuted. It's an overrun of this planet. And they get people in different regions of the world. They set up a religion. But when you look at this planet, you'll see some of the secrets. And some of the secrets are revealed in some of the artifacts that you see. See, there was a war, a big war, created all this big crater. I forget the name of it. Farsight Institute had done a remote view on how it got formed, and it was a what do you call it? Off they call it off terrestrial objects slash UFO. There are UFOs out there throughout history, and it's also documented in those paintings, these famous paintings too. So I'm not just making this up. You could just go check over the internet, and you'll see it. This world is invaded by people from who knows where, and they're orchestrating and they set their seeds. Even the Bible gives a clue about the sons of man and the daughters of, I'm sorry, the son of man and the daughters of man. Sons of God and the daughters of man. Yeah. They gave a clue. They came down and it took as many women. And that's when it began, this dispensation. So it's overthrowing the planet, but slowly. And so their plan is to take over and create an environment that no longer can support human life, but the life of the invaders, and they're using people from planet Earth to do it. So this is where racism and all this comes in. Everybody wants to be considered the superior group, right? Especially those people coming from outside the U.S. and they come in and they want to get favor from the ruling group, right? And that's how it's perpetuated, racism. Everybody wants to be part of the privileged group. And people would do this to their own people just to get favor, just to get, see, they know human nature and they know that we all want to be on top. This is a prison planet. Even people who are rich, even people, you know what they said with the thing in Saudi? What the prince did, the crown prince? He had some of the top officials, the other princes. I forget the number, it was a large, large number of them. And he set them up in the Ritz Carlton of that place. I mean, it was extremely, extremely opulent. They even asked them, they told them to come at 4 o'clock in the morning. They were ordered to come, and even asked, what type of medications you might need. We'll get it for you. Really looked like they're trying to schmooze them. Well, it was a trap. They said, you better give up your money that you allegedly took from the country, and you better give it back. And you will not leave until you give us our money. So so it's really a prison. I mean, all the Fed and all this, I mean, real luxury stuff. But it was their jail, a jail for all the princes. It's just, because, you see people are just, see, people are just ultimately just going to kill themselves. We're fighting each other. So here you have the crown prince doing that to other royalty in the land. So it's inevitable that it doesn't matter who you are, that you know the fighting, the backbiting, it's even amongst your own family. And China, with this new technologies that are leading, they said, leading the road to AI. They said right now, the U.S. is top of AI, but by 20, I think they said 2030, China is going to be on top of the world with AI. And it's like a prison. What do you call it? Like it's communist, and it's severe restrictions and oppression on it. Like everybody's spied on, and the same thing is going to happen here in this country. So if you want to see where the world is headed, just look at China. And they're getting people, they get different, I guess different countries have different specialties. It would be interesting to see what other nations are doing. But it's all basically the same. They do different technologies, and then they learn from each other, and they allow each other's countries to go into everybody else's countries and to learn their secrets. So that's why it makes me think that it's something global, that the network is all over. So it doesn't matter what country you're really coming from, because you're working for the same people ultimately. And it's to overthrow and complete control of the planet. Sad. So that's what the two that's what the two things, AI and Saudi, the abuses, the maltreatment of its people. It's time to wake up. Don't lose your humanity, people. Don't lose it. and you need to connect the dots. Okay? Yeah. This place is being spied upon. Everything is being observed. Well, if that's the case, I hope they get a good look at me, right? A cheap thrill. No, but in all seriousness, we need to wake up. Take care, guys. Bye bye.